do not yield practical implications on
the Honourable Member for Kawaka.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, I just wanted to find out, of course, the market can be there, but what is critical is research and development. So I wanted to find out what your ministry is doing to some of these new ideas you have, and whether you are investing in research and development. Do we see your ministry actually increasing funding to some of these key sectors that you've mentioned in terms of research?
Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member for Kabwata. As I have explained, Honourable Member, be assured that we do not work in silos as ministries that form this New Dawn government, New Dawn administration. Whatever is coming through the results of each ministry is taken to the table of cabinet and subsequently ends up in the technocrats fora, where whatever we produce is harvested by each one of the ministries to go and now promote the actual implementation that we will create jobs, as was indicated to the Honourable Member in his Honourable Member for Kalawa in his question. Just to highlight a little bit more of the investments that are going into this field for innovating our own pathways to development. Mr. Speaker, I want to just add this information for the sake of the members of the public and the honourable members on the floor in the chamber here, in this august house, that there are additional activities, or rather information, that you need to take to understand how serious the New Dawn administration takes the field of science and technology, to demonstrate, number one, how government is committed to harnessing science. For 2025 science, research and development, government has allocated, Mr. Speaker, 178.1 million kwacha, representing 17.2% of the ministry's budget. That is how serious. Secondly, technology and innovation. What has been allocated here? The government has allocated 58.5 million kwacha, representing 5.6% of the budget, all purposefully. And lastly, to promote applied research and development, Mr. Speaker, the government has allocated 60 million kwacha for modernization of the National Institute for Scientific and Industrial Research. This, I would like to say to the nation, to the members of the public, to the entrepreneurs, to business out there, to industry, that business operates on a basis of demand and supply. The demand that comes out there, from the industry, from entrepreneurs that are coming up, will encourage even more resources coming to this sector, which are well tailored on the development direction that this government has put in place. So I encourage honourable members to identify all the job creators, the job makers in your constituencies, and make them visible. Get them to understand and know where they could get supplementary information that will go into the industry they must set up in their own constituencies. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Kanyama.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity that you have given me. Minister, I would want to thank you for the response that you have given, more especially on question E. What benefit, if any, the exhibition had to the country? Among them, you have not spared, agriculture, of which came out more prominent that agriculture has benefited. Now, my question is, how have these, exhibition impacted the agriculture sector, looking at the challenges the sector is facing, coupled with, crop failure as a result of climate change. I submit.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member for Kanyama. Mr. Speaker, this work is ongoing, and the focus is clearly on the key sectors that have been prioritized by this government through the PDU, the Presidential Delivery Unit. Agriculture is a key sector, science and technology, energy, health, education, mining are all part of it, and agriculture is number one. So as you would have heard, agriculture linked with other value chains from other related cousin or sister ministries like livestock and fisheries. Clearly, you would have seen, Honourable Member, that particular initiative that focused on tomato puree production, on avocado production in terms of value addition technologies, demonstrates that focus is on that sector. Priority focus is on agriculture, which is our mainstay of our economy, linking with other sectors that it feeds into. So agriculture has got lined up areas that the ministry that calls for or provides platform for more investigations beyond the labs that are at the Ministry of Agriculture. So indeed, between the Ministry of Agriculture and Science and Technology, there's ongoing work that will ensure that we resolve the issues that are of concern by the nation as expressed in the Honourable Member's question. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Itestezi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for your responses. Minister, you are aware that we are at a time when science is critical in resolving all the emerging challenges that we are facing as a country, particularly in the agriculture and the climate change sector. Then just 2 days ago, Mr. Speaker, there was a headline of a young person, a graduate at CBO, who was invented in artificial intelligence, a system that is going to work using the greenhouse system. Now, Minister, when you read the story of this young person, he is a product of JETS and many other initiatives that takes place at school level. What is your ministry doing to integrate activities that are at constituency level, like JETS in the schools, so that from these small initiatives we're able to build this kind of talent rather than just having initiatives that are in Osaka? Thank you.
Thank you. The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Honourable Member. And thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, that is the cry that your government has had right at the entry into the administration of this nation. And this is why I would say His Excellency, Mr. President Hakainde Hichilema, has sent out a very strong message about unlocking rigidities that are in the way of delivery of the much desired development, growth and prosperity. That is the reason why we have the first pillar in the 8th National Development Plan, which speaks to economic transformation. Indeed, members are called out to cause relevance in this message the President has sent out of unlocking rigidities. It is very important for us as people's representatives, working in conjunction, in collaboration with the administration, the government, in our respective constituencies, to bring such reports, such information to the relevant authorities so that it ends up into the ministry to recognize what is being developed, the talent, the innovation, the knowledge that is emerging through the JETS fairs across the nation. So unlocking the rigidities speaks to this topic, and we must, as people's representatives, impress upon the ministry and government at large to ensure that we put in place a mechanism that will ensure that all the ideas, the results that are coming from the JETS fairs find their way into the ministry and the institutions, the science centers, science and research centers that are dotted around that support the ministry. So I strongly, on behalf of the government, of the president, invite you all to bring this information in the 156 constituencies to the ministry so that it forms part of the planning for the ministry within the financial year, into the next financial year, and going into the future. That is what it means to embark on economic transformation and job creation together with your government. I thank you.
The Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Minister, this event which took place in 2024, is it the desire of the government that it is held annually? Thank you.
The Acting Minister of Technology and Science.
Mr. Speaker, I missed the last pass. He whispered, the Honourable Member.
Can you repeat the question?
I was saying, is it the intention or the plan of the government to make this event an annual event every year, year after year? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Maybe you can engage the substantive minister. She may not be able to answer that one. Let's make progress. The next question, the Honourable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving a chance to the people of Chiengi to ask this very important question, question number 256.
The Honourable Minister of Energy is the Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. The Acting Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member is asking the Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development a question in three parts. When the construction works on the student hostels at the following university will be completed. 1, the University of Zambia in Lusaka District, the Copperbelt University in Kitwe District, and the Mlungushi University in Kapiriposhi. Our response, Mr. Speaker, is as follows. Works on the students' hostels at University of Zambia in Lusaka District are expected to take about 24 months to complete once works are commenced. The works on the students' hostel at Copperbelt University in Kitwe District are expected to take about 18 months to complete once works are commenced. The works on the students' hostel at Mlungushi University in Kapiriposhi District are expected to take about 36 months to complete once works are commenced. The delay in completing the project was due to funding constraints. In C, the total cost of each project will be fully ascertained once all the outstanding works are procured. The projects are currently being retendered. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the response from the ministry. Mr. Speaker, I'm just wondering why the government would talk of once the funds and the procurement is completed, when there's been a lot of business entities which have approached these universities to complete these student hostels. Mlungushi University, University of Zambia, and Copperbelt University. So I'm wondering why the government would say that when we have private companies which are available and ready to do the work, and this is being done at the expense of students. Mr. Speaker, students are being attacked in Kalingalinga by the fluffy boys because they rent there. And if you saw the floods and you see where this, the future generation or the future MPs are staying, is, I don't know the word to use, it's pathetic. So I would like to find out from the ministry why they would even talk of 24 months once the procurement is done. Because those student accommodation, they've been there for years and years. It's a matter of advertising and private institutions to come on board and do the work. This is being done at the expense of our children, Mr. Speaker. So I'd like to find out why they would even give that period instead of saying we are going to advertise for bidders to come on board. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Member. Mr. Speaker, I wish to inform the House, and indeed the Honorable Member, to note that these are the projects which were halted in the previous government, and this government, which is committed and put priority education as the first thing in our administration, we have gone back to retender these projects. And we have put, and in my first response, I've said, Mr. Speaker, that we have retendered these projects because we had to renegotiate with these contractors who were awarded these contracts. And they halted for a long period. So this administration, Mr. Speaker, is committed to make sure that the welfare of our students at schools are addressed. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Chiengi.
Mr. Speaker, when we have our standing orders, and that's 71, we have to be factual. Mr. Speaker, the contractors that the minister is referring to, I'm not agreeing with him, because when you look at Mlungushi University, there's a time when the government gave that project to NAPSA. So I don't know which contract he's talking about. I'm somebody who has the passion for education, and I've been making follow-ups on these universities. It's the reason I brought this question. Mr. Speaker, I want the minister to be factual. The contractors who were there, and as what is prevailing on the ground, is that the government, when this government came into power, Mlungushi was given to NAPSA. And then for these other two, I don't know who has been given. There are a lot of companies which have approached these universities to complete the construction. So, Mr. Speaker, all that I'm asking is this government, which is saying or which is claiming to be passionate about their people, to come out clear on this issue. Because I know exactly, and I have the information, Mr. Speaker, of who tendered before, way back, and who wants to continue without even doing it as a private sector, without getting a penny from the government. So I would like to know which contractors he's referring to. Because here, if we are referring to private contractors, we cannot be talking about 18 months, 36 months, or what and what. Because this is their money. They're going to work at their own pace in order to get the money back.
Okay.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
But, honourable members, when government gives its position, as honourable members, we must adhere to it because that's government position. However, in case the Honorable Minister would love to comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, the honorable member must know that this government has got a passion for our nations in the education sector. Hence, we are even pushing, we have even implemented the free education. That is the commitment this government has. Now, when he's talking about this government doing nothing, there are people he knows who are supposed to come on board. That is very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, Mulungushi University, the ministry has renegotiated the tender for completion of 6 hostel blocks at Mulungushi University with Zhang Hu Investment Limited, a contract to the sum of 410 million kwacha for this hostel he is talking about. So government is in the process to respond to the challenges our students are facing. So there are a number of processes that this government is putting to address this challenge, which the president complete. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Kwacha.
Much appreciated, Mr. Speaker, to allow me to ask a follow-up question to the Minister. Honorable Minister, thank you for your honest response towards this question. However, when you look at the problem at Copperbelt University, just like it has been alluded by my colleague, that CBU, as well as University of Zambia, and the other university in Kabwe, is it Kapiri? This problem has reached alarming levels where students are being attacked because they are coming from outside the university parameters. I would like to know exactly the time frame when you say it has been retendered and this process is ongoing. What time frame are we looking at? Because we need to move in the direction of looking at building these hostels so that our students can be accommodated in these hostels. So what time frame are we looking at, Honorable Minister? Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. Mr. Speaker, I will quickly share how we have lined up these processes and the projects to be implemented. Construction of the hostels at Copperbelt University, it has been divided into 6 slots. Lot 1 comprises 4 hostel blocks with a total student than 40 students. The contract has been retendered and awarded to Huang Chang Infrastructure Limited at a cost of 123,596,000, with a contract duration of 12 months. The contractor is currently on the site. That is Lot 1. Lot 2, we have not yet commenced, but the processes are ongoing. The Ministry of Education has renegotiated the tender for completion of 4 hostel blocks in Lot 3 with the Zhang Investment Limited as the contractor at a contract sum of 187,695,000. The Ministry of Education is awaiting clearance from the Ministry of Justice before resumption of works. Again, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry has gone further to renegotiate the tender for the completion of 4 hostel blocks in Lot 4, Zhang Investment Limited, as the contract at the sum of 194,473,000. The Ministry also is waiting for clearance from the Ministry of Justice before resumption of works. Lot 5 consists of electrical, sewer, and water recreation, as well as road networks. The storm water drainage, currently the Ministry is in the process re-engaging the contractor Govin Engineering to complete the outstanding works. Lot 6, Mr. Speaker, comprises of 5 hostels with a total student capacity of 800 students. Currently, the ministry is in the process of re-engaging the contractor Miller's Construction Limited to complete the outstanding contract or works. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let's make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chipangali.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Question number 257.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Member is asking the Ministry of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development a question in 2 parts. In A, when the construction of Chipata-Lundazi Road will be completed, at what level of completion in percentage terms the project was as of December 2024. Mr. Speaker, the government of the Republic of Zambia funds to reconstruct the 222 kilometers Chipata-Lundazi Chasefu to bituminous standard under the Millennium Challenge Compact Project, an agency of the United States of America. The project is estimated to be completed within 24 months after commencement. However, Mr. Speaker, it should be noted that with the current policy shift with the United States of America, the government of the Republic of Zambia awaits official communication on the status of the project. In the short term, Mr. Speaker, the government is carrying out periodic maintenance works on the Chipata to Lundazi Road. In B, the reconstruction of the road had not commenced as of December 2024. However, periodic maintenance works were at 65% currently. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Chipangali.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, once more for giving the good people of Chipangali an opportunity to make a follow-up question. Honorable Minister, I thank you for that elaborate response that you've given to the good people of Chipangali. I would like to inquire, considering the importance of this road that connects several constituencies such as Chipata Central, Chipangali, Lumezi, Lundazi, and it's a pathway for our brothers and sisters, the good people of Chasefu, Chama North and Chama South. And in line with the response that you've given that we are expecting some funding, but due to the shift of policy, we are awaiting response. In case we receive a negative response, is there any arrangement that the government has done so that at least the road can still be constructed? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you so much, Honorable Member. Indeed, we are expecting a yes or a no in our official communication that we are waiting. This administration is committed to the welfare of our people, and we take this road you have just mentioned as an important road to our economic activities of this country. Hence, this government is ready to look for resources, our local resources. Like you have heard from our president, he is committed that whatever happens with our cooperating partners, with the new policy shift, this government has to stand on its own to address its own affairs. So this government will use government resources to attend to the challenge that our people are facing on this road. Hence, Mr. Speaker, you see, we are putting the periodic maintenance currently to make the road motorable. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there has been a pronouncement before, even at the apex office of our country, that this road would soon be constructed. And I know some of my colleagues who have danced to that tune, celebrating that the road is going to be constructed soon. Hearing from the response, to the response by
Honourable Member, may you ask your question?
By the Honourable Acting Minister of Infrastructure, it takes a U-turn, Mr. Speaker, from the area position. It is very important, Honourable Minister,
May you ask your question? May you ask your question? Be precise.
Is this same one that I'm constructing, Mr.
No,
Speaker?
just ask a question. Is
Mr.
your name
Speaker, this is a
Richard?
very important road that these people have lied to the people of Western Province that they are going to do. This is the more reason why I want to construct a very powerful
May you
question.
take your seat, Honourable Member?
When will you do
Honourable
the
Member,
road,
may you take your seat?
the Lunda's Road? Honourable Minister, Honourable Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
At times it doesn't pay to be antagonistic unnecessarily. I was guiding you, but you were... No, at times it doesn't pay to behave in that manner. May the Honourable Minister, Acting Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to assure the honourable member that this government regards this road as a very important road. And Mr. Speaker, I have said that there is no U-turn on this road because we take this road as an important road. What I have said that the first agreement that we made with Millennium Compact, which was ready to do this road, there have been policy shifts with that government. So that does not make us to fold our hands and sit. I have assured the honourable member who have posed this question that this government will look at the government resources to do this road. All we are waiting is to hear the official position of the agents of United States government. Once we get that position, we'll be able to make a decision. If we receive in the negative, this government will find resources to do the road, because this road is an important road. This is what I was explaining. So there's no U-turn on this road. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask a follow-up question. Honourable Minister, what was the cost for what is the cost for this road, 220 kilometers that was supposed to be funded or would be funded by Millennium Compact? Thank you.
Did you get his question? May the Honourable Member repeat your question, and may you speak much louder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is that there was an agreement or some kind of intent to fund the 220-kilometer road from Chipata to Lundazi. In that agreement, what was the agreed or intended cost for this 220 kilometers section? I thank you.
You've gotten the question, Honourable Minister. What he's trying to say is that in that agreement, on the scope that should have been executed, there was a principal amount that had been agreed for the execution of works. That's what he's asking. But if you're not able to answer the establishment, you can raise with the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure. He's free to go to his office, and the two can agree, because you are the acting minister. Let's make progress. The Honorable Member from Kaika.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to ask the Minister a question on the Lundazi Chipata. And thank you so much, Minister, for your responses so far. I just wanted to find out from you, or maybe to make an assurance for the people of Eastern Province on the Lundazi Road. Minister, assure the people of Lundazi that this road will be done before 2026. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member, the Minister has just spoken. You want him to be as repetitive as you want. What assurance do you want to have? Let's make progress. Next question. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Question number 258.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security is the Acting Health Minister. The Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Mutu for Kalabo Central asked the Minister of Health as why the issuance of death certificates to relatives of deceased persons takes 24 hours, and B, whether there are any plans to expedite the process. Our response, Mr. Speaker. The process of issuing death certificate in Zambia is governed by the Births and Deaths Registration Act, Chapter 51 of the laws of Zambia. This legal framework mandates a structured procedure to ensure accuracy, accountability, and compliance with the statutory requirements. The Ministry of Health plays a pivotal role in this process, particularly in the issuance of the medical certificate of cause of death. The process entails the following steps. 1, notice of death. This is submitted by an appropriate authority, which may include a relative, member of the community, a village headman, the police, or a health facility. 2, medical certificate of cause of death. This document is issued by a health facility, is a critical component of the death registration process. It specifies the cause of death and is a prerequisite for the issuance of a death certificate for persons dying within the facility. 3, police report for brought-in dead cases. In the instance where the person dies without the health facility, a police report is required to ascertain the circumstances surrounding the death. 4, coroner's report in the case of road traffic accident or suspected foul play. Where the death results from a road traffic accident or suspected foul play, a coroner's report is mandatory to provide further details on the cause of death. 5, letter from the chief for rural deaths. In cases where the death occurs in a rural village, a letter from the local chief is necessary to authenticate the death. 6, original national registration card or passport of the deceased. The original identification document of the deceased must be surrendered and attached to the application for a death certificate. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Health's primary responsibility in this process is the issuance of the medical certificate of cause of death. In most health facilities, this certificate is issued within 24 hours of the confirmation of death, provided all requisite medical information is available. This step is indispensable as it establishes the cause of death, which is statutory requirement for the issuance of a death certificate. B, Madam Speaker, while the Ministry of Health ensures the timely issuance of the medical certificate of the cause of death, the overall process of obtaining a death certificate involves multiple stakeholders, including the Department of National Registration under the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, who have the mandate to issue the death certificate. This process cannot take less than 24 hours because of the process highlighted above. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Supplementary question, the Honourable Member for Kalaba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've listened and I've heard the responses given by the Honourable Minister. I've heard there are almost like 1 or 2 types of certificates. For sure, my concern was on the certificate which is issued immediately a person is certified dead. The one which is signed by the medical doctor, that when a person is declared dead and the body is deposited in the mortuary, the rule of 24 hours arises. That the relatives can't pick, cannot get the body until a period of 24 hours has elapsed. So, Mr. Speaker, that's my concern. The body is already in the mortuary. Honourable Minister, I want to really get what is the gist of waiting for 24 hours. That's when you can access the body. After the body has been deposited in the mortuary. And I believe the body, this person is dead 24 hours ago. That's when you would want this certificate to be issued to the relatives. What is the idea behind that? Thank you, ma'am.
The Acting Minister of Health.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleague may have heard what I did advise the House, that there is a structured process pertaining to the issuance of a death certificate. In the event that there are no other encumbrances that occur, the certificate is issued within 24 hours. We don't wait for 24 hours. It's issued within 24 hours. However, as I indicated, if the person died outside a medical facility, there are certain procedures that are required to be done. There has to be a police report that has to be generated. And this may take longer than necessary. Those are just the delays. Otherwise, ordinarily, in a health facility, and if the person died within a health facility, that is done within 24 hours.
The Honourable Member for Kalaba Central.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I've heard the response. The Minister is saying within 24 hours. Now, I didn't want to mention this. Usually, many of my questions, they arise from experience. The UTH in Zambia, the one which is located, I don't know what the location there is, the University Teaching Hospital. I don't know that location, but that is where that hospital is located. That institution there, this is the cause of this question, Mr. Speaker. There is a rule there. I didn't want to mention UTH. There is a rule at UTH which states that you can only access that certificate after, not within 24 hours like the minister is mentioning here. They are saying after 24 hours, not within 24 hours. So I'm seeing there's some conflict of statement. So I don't know which one is correct, whether it's within or it's like we were told after 24 hours. So any clarification there, further clarification, Honorable Minister.
Acting Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much, honorable colleague. As I indicated, Mr. Speaker, these death certificates are normal issued within 24 hours. What my colleague has brought is an exception, which I'm going to follow up as a ministry to find out from the establishment as to why they have issued that notice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let's make progress. The clerk will now read the order of the day.
Thanks. The President's address. Motion of 4th March. Resumption of debate.
When the House adjourned yesterday, Thursday, 13th March 2025, the House was considering the motion moved by the Honorable Member for Kanchiwea that the thanks of this Assembly be recorded for exposition of public policy contained in the President's address. Any debate? The Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity for me to add the voice of the people I represent to this very important speech delivered by the President. Mr. Speaker, there are 4 key elements of governance. That is accountability, transparency, rule of law, and participation. When you read this speech, Mr. Speaker, the President talks about the fight against corruption. Mr. Speaker, the fight against corruption can only be a complete fight when the fight is against the past and the current corruption. Currently, Mr. Speaker, the country is only concentrated on fighting the past corruption, which others now are calling political witch hunt. On the other hand, the current corruption, Mr. Speaker, like the awarding of Mopani copper mine, selling Mopani copper mine without this House approving the sale. That is corruption, Mr. Speaker. And it must...
Honorable Member, do you have the presidential speech with you? I think what is important is when you are debating, ensure that you are very factual, that making assertions and you are going to mislead the public. I think the minister was on the floor of the House, clarified how that happened, but you still insist because you wanted it to be done according to what you believe in. Just debate. You've been here for 3 years. You know now that it's a house of rules. You may proceed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was talking about the fight against corruption. The fight against corruption, Mr. Speaker, can only be completed if past and current corruption is being fought. Mr. Speaker, corruption is not only when one receives a bribe. Even in decision-making is also corruption. How can a consortium, Mr. Speaker, take over the collection of money on targets between the stretch of Lusaka and Ndola before they even complete making the road? If that is not corruption, Mr. Speaker, then what is corruption? The fight against corruption, Mr. Speaker, can only be a full fight when the past and current corruption are being fought. Mr. Speaker, today we are being told that we will soon have a reduction in the prices of fuel because agro-fuel has been chucked out of the monopoly of running in them. Why wasn't that decision made in the past? If corruption was not at the center of everything, Mr. Speaker, the fight against corruption is not only when you fight your political opponents. That is political witch hunt. Today, Mr. Speaker, the FIC report reported the externalization of 2.5 billion US dollars. And no single person, Mr. Speaker, has been arrested. Then you wonder, what kind of a fight against corruption now we have? Where the corrupt today are not being arrested. Those who are being arrested are those who have, an apartment in Chaminuka, an apartment worth 1 million kwacha. Those are the people who are being arrested. The people who are taking out 2.5 billion US dollars are not being arrested.
Honorable member, do you have evidence those allegations that you are making? Or you just want to make political capital and mislead people? Avoid making such assertions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on page 3 of the President's speech, he talks about the issue of alcohol and drug abuse. And he also talked about the measures that the government has put in place to fight the scourge. Mr. Speaker, sensitization alone is not the solution. The root cause is lack of employment. Our youth today have no jobs. 12% of our youths, Mr. Speaker, have no jobs. And it's the responsibility of government to create industries where these youths will have to work from. It's not just about mere sensitization, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the existence of government is therefore to provide solutions and better the lives of the people. But this government, Mr. Speaker, has failed in that score. Mr. Speaker, the lives of our youths right now are at greater risk. This is the more reason why we now have junkies. And we have even given them the name. Instead of addressing the biggest issue, we have decided to give them a name, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our country today.
Hey, honorable member for Nakonde, you are not at the marketplace. You are in the house. May you leave the chamber. Leave the chamber, or you risk me naming you now and give you some days to rest. May you leave the chamber. May you proceed, honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in our country today, we have people, Mr. Speaker, in these compounds who are suffering, Mr. Speaker. They need the government to provide solutions. We are talking about CDF, we are talking about social cash transfer, we are talking about the cash for work and all those things. Those are not new policies, Mr. Speaker. They have always been in existence. People want new things that are going to better their lives, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when you read the Amnesty International report of 2023, 4.5 billion US dollars in tax evasion. Mr. Speaker, that is uncalled for. And this government must take governance very serious. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about the lives of the Zambian people. We cannot even be here discussing constitutional amendment. When your own people are suffering, you start discussing constitutional amendments. What kind of people are you? Who does not even fear God that you can't take care of its people unless you amend the constitution?
May you take your seat? Let me guide you a bit. At some point yourself, you were saying your constituency is very vast.
What's wrong with
And the money that you are given, CDF, is meant to alleviate poverty in your constituency. Now you are talking, the other day you say this, the other day you say that. The president emphasized on the need to delimitate these constituencies. And it can only happen if we amend the constitution. You know what is right, but you are just doing politics. May you continue?
Mr. Speaker, constitution amendment, the constitution is a people's document. You cannot just wake up and start amending the constitution without consultation. There must be broader consultation so that all the Zambian people agree to what you want to put in the constitution. That is their document, Mr. Speaker. No one can just decide on their own to say we are going to amend the constitution without consulting anyone. There must be consensus building. There must be consultations. Without that, no single person will agree. You cannot consult yourself and go out there to say we have agreed to amend the constitution when you have just consulted yourself. That will not happen. This country has stakeholders, and those stakeholders are the citizens who must be consultedly. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, I want to urge this government to focus on bettering the lives of the Zambian people. That is what is mattering right now. You cannot go into 2026 with a liter of fuel being sold at 34 kwacha, with a cost of a bag of meal at 600 kwacha per bag. That is uncalled for. Mr. Speaker, these people,
Honorable member. Honorable member. I've guided you several times. You kept referring to documents that are not here or there, just for the sake of debating, and you've resorted to use very unpalatable language that is not even allowed on the floor of the House, just to ensure that you amass political capital. That is not what we are supposed to do. The Honorable Member for Mongo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving a chance to the people of Mongo Central to say a few words about the President's speech, which was anchored on national values and principles. And before I do that, I want to thank the people of Western Province, in particular the people of Mongo Central, for having hosted a very colorful and successful National Youth Day. Mr. Speaker, there is a medical term called hydrocephalus. It describes a head which is full of water. And one of the characteristics is that people, they flip-flop on issues, they talk without substance, and they are usually very antagonistic. Those people are not only out there, you've seen them, they are here also in this house. And you've just experienced that. When you see them talk, just remember the word hydrocephalus. They are full of water in the head. The UPND Dawn government did not only inherit a broken economy, a bankrupt economy, but they also inherited an economy. They also inherited a society which was broken, with eroded by the good morals were eroded in this country. That's why you found.
There is the point of order.
Anyway.
Mr. Speaker,
I rise on a very serious point of order. Member of Parliament is referring to people who have very unfortunate medical condition called hydrocephalus, which means that there's blockage somewhere and allows accumulation of central CSF in the head and causes the head to bulge in children. It's an unfortunate medical condition and it requires treatment, oftentimes surgical. And it would be most unfortunate if this House goes on record to stigmatize such an unfortunate. But is it in order to place this House in that path where we are now looking down upon those many children with hydrocephalus, which is an unfortunate condition, and that results in a lot of suffering on our children? And I can't see anyone with hydrocephalus in this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think you're serious ruling.
No, the honourable member for Mongu Central is out of order. Let's ensure that our language befits the House. So may the honourable member for Mongu Central proceed.
Thank you very much for the guidance, Honourable Speaker. But maybe some certain things people need to be examined to really be determined of their correct position. I was saying that the New Dawn government inherited a bankrupt economy. Also, they inherited a society that is broken, a society with bad morals because of the PF government that was there. Many people, especially our young people, girls and boys, started drinking heavily under the PF government because of the bad influence of the leadership which was there, drinking in public, Jameson, throwing it all over the places, showing off. That's what the children copied from the PF leaders. This is why the president was here to remind us of upholding our national values and the principles. It's not because he was just doing it, because it's reflected itself in our society. That's why, Honorable Mr. Speaker, you see, even today, look on your left, the people representing the public out there. Your honorable members on your left, they are not here. They want to start getting paid without being here. Where are they? I hope the cameras of Parliament can show them. Very empty. They still want to continue getting paid for nothing. Eh? It has continued. That's why they are not there. That's why it's very important to keep reminding ourselves of having national values, our principles.
Honorable member, may you translate what you've just said?
Those people want to benefit for doing nothing. They want to get paid for doing nothing. People are getting paid to be in this parliament, but they are not here to listen and debate this very important speech. What do you call that? That's the same tendency that was there in the past. People were saying that we cannot bring free education. We cannot increase CDF. Where has the money come from? Money has always been there, but people just wanted to pocket it. That's their character. That's why they are not here, because they are not happy that the New Dawn government has increased the money, and there is no money to pocket to put in their pockets. They are not appreciating free education because a lot of people are benefiting. The people of Mongu, to those who watched the National Youth Day, there were about 50 people, beneficiaries of CDF, who were marching there, just like that lady from Mufumbwe. They appreciate what the New Dawn government has done to empower the whole country, to bring equity to everybody. But now, the people on your left, not those good ones there, but mostly they sit around there, those who have run away, they are not happy with such policy. They want to continue perpetuating stealing. They want to continue perpetuating getting money for free.
Withdraw the words stealing is.
They want to continue perpetuating getting money which they have not worked for. How do you go out when you know you are getting paid? You are a member of parliament. You are sitting in this house. You just walk away. You are not here to represent your people and debate a very important speech like the one the president was talking about. All of us, we need now to ensure that we have good moral values, we have good principles in life, where we can build a better society for all of us. This is not what those people represent. They represent looting. They represent destroying this country economically, morally, everything. Those are not the kind of leaders we should trust in this country anymore. They should never come back again. They should go forever and ever and be put there. Mr. Speaker, the constitutional review process is very, very important. We have constituencies like Mungu Central with 16 wards. Yet we have constituencies like my good friend from Momba there. Oh, who is this one who sits here? Yeah? Ngabwe, who win by 2,000 votes. They are here and sharing, but we are all getting 36 million. The Minister of Labor here has 24 wards. All of us, we are getting 36 million, 36.1 million. So that's why it's very important that we distribute this money equitably. Everybody must have a share. That's why it's important that others now are having advantage over others because they have small things. They have small constituencies. So it's very important that we look at the constitution and review it so that all of us can get money equitably. We can't have constituencies. Others have 300,000 people. Others have 2,000 people getting the same amount of money.
There's a point of
Thank
order.
you. No points of order allowed, Mr. Speaker. Especially from my honorable. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, it's very.
There's a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to raise the point of order. On my colleague here, Mr. Speaker, the issue of delimitation is very important. And we need, for sure, smaller consequences to manage, such as mine, such as the Honorable Musa Warkwane here, Kawata, and the like. But, Mr. Speaker, is the member in order to call my people small things, to call the people of Liua small things, and Kabwata? Is it in order, Mr. Speaker, to call these consequences with small words as the things? Mr. Speaker, the President, Mr. Speaker, is on the point to say we need to manage these big consequences, delimitate them. But is it in order to call these consequences smaller ones, small things? Mr. Speaker, me, I'm an innocent man. I seek your serious ruling, Mr. Speaker. I don't want to be part of that debate on that score only. I seek your ruling, Mr. Speaker.
The honorable member for Mungu Central should stick to the presidential debates. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. But having good morals and upholding national values requires all of us to take care of each and every one of us, to love our neighbor, to ensure that everybody gets a fair share of the national cake, to ensure that we build a country, a society that values one another. So it's very important, even as the only driving principle for the constitutional review process should be that makes sure that we are all equal, we get equal share of the national cake. So it's very, very important that even as we debate the president's speech, we remember or we remind ourselves of our national values and our principles so that we build and take care of this country. We share our resources equitably. We make sure that our children, our people have access to all the resources in this country. People in Mongo, thank you. With those few words, I beg to move. Thank you very much.
The honorable member from Kaika.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for once again giving the good people of Kaika to add their voice on the presidential speech. I'll be brief, Mr. Speaker. I will talk about the delimitation which the President talked about in here. I don't know. I wanted to find out from my colleagues, and these are the answers that I will need at the end of my debate, more especially when the minister starts responding to these debates. I was here. I don't know what has changed now. I was here in 2021 when the Bill 10 was presented here, and most of our colleagues there, they refused to agree to delimitate these constituencies. I don't know whether that time these constituencies were small, and this time they have grown big, that they are now given the consensus that we have to delimitate this. The President talked about patriotism. Where is the patriotism? Colleagues in here, when we have been given chance, and if we see that this thing will truly add value to our country, let us together agree and do that, because it will benefit the people of Zambia. I agree. Constituencies are big, yes. But see, in here, if we had done this delimitation long time ago, this time around we could have maybe at another level in terms of development. But we all refuse. More especially that side, they all refuse. They ran away. They never even participated on the delimitation exercise. And this time around, it is you. That's why I said, what has changed now? When there, in 2021, you refused. Totally, you refused. But let me remind you one thing. In 2021, the PF then, they brought up some measures, some revenue correction measures, like the toll gate. They were brought on board. We saw the airports, the new airports, they were constructed. But now, the new dawn, you want to bring this again. Now, my question, what are the additional revenue correction measures that you have brought that will support the delimitation? Because delimitation will need money. The MPs that will be manning those constituencies, they will need money. Even the enhanced CDF that you have brought, they will be channeled to those. And you are crying, you said, you know, you inherited the bankrupt government. But now, you should have started with the revenue correction measures. What have you done? I need those answers. Because I want you you need to woo me, yeah? So that I support it. So I need those answers. So colleagues in here, very, very important. We need to put politics aside and surely see these things as things that will add value to our country. You know, we have high cost of living. Meantime, we have high cost of living. Our wage bill is high. We teachers, they applied, and up to now we have not heard when you are employing teachers. At least for nurses, yes, and like we heard the list was published. But how about teachers? So when you are delaying that side, us, we take it that there's no money. There's no money that you, once these teachers are employed, they'll be paid. Now you are telling us, or you are asking us, to say we should delimitate. So, Minister of Finance, please, in response, I need those answers. What are the additional revenue measures that you have brought so that we are on the same page? The other thing that I want to talk about is the social things that the President talked about, such as the FISIP, the social cash transfer, the food security part, and also the SAF program. I should say that the SAF program is a good program that needs to be supported. You know where we are coming from? We are coming from the drought, and this drought will not just end within a year. This drought will not just end within a year. Because, like in Mkaika, Katete, people are now have started eating from their fields. They are harvesting. Yes, the community sales are there, but people do not have money to buy. And instead, they have now started harvesting from their fields. So what will that mean? It will mean that by the time they'll be harvesting, the final harvest, they will come away, or they will come up with maybe half of the harvest. And that half harvest will not take them to the next season. So I say this SAF program can supplement to people having food in their homes. And this program, I'm appealing to the government that they should give these banks monies so that they can give to the farmers. In Katete, not even one has received. People started flocking to the bank way back in November, but up to now, not even one has gotten. Yet it is a very good program that these people can benefit. So don't stop giving it out to these farmers. These programs can help the farmers, because when they do irrigation, they will supplement to the food that they will have. As I said, people have already started eating from their fields. And I think it is not only in Katete, even elsewhere, because people might not have money to go and buy the maize, even though the maize is there. So it is my appeal to the government that they should consider this SAF program a very good program, so that it can supplement the programs of having food in the people's home. Mr. Speaker, with these few remarks, I said thank you so much.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Zambezi East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to debate the motion of thanks, Mr. President, for the speech that was delivered on the floor of the House in stating out the progress made in the implementation of our national values and principles. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with our Republican Constitution, Article 8 of the Constitution states out and outlines the national values and principles. And in accordance with Article 9(2), the President is required to come to this House to present progress made towards those values and principles. Mr. Speaker, my debate will be outlined as follows. I will make brief comments on each one of those values, of course cherry picking on where I have salient points to mention, and elucidate a little bit on issues that are important, which the President mentioned, and that are applicable to the current situation in the country, and laud the progress that we have made towards these national values and principles. On morality and ethics, the President mentioned the prevailing problems that we have around abuse of technology, especially social media. Indeed, we have a lot of cases of cyberbullying, and it emanates to, of course, the progression in technology and people plucking it out from freedom of speech. And riding on freedom of speech, they think they can say anything and sundry. and sometimes infringing on the very rights of the next person. And the President mentioned that we've made much progress here to ensure that culprits perpetuating such are actually brought to book. And I'm glad that some arrests in recent times have actually been instituted. And the people that cry out loud most are the perpetrators of such vices. I will not cry out when I'm not involved in cyberbullying and I'm not involved in such a crime. Because it is criminalized, it should remind us that it's not something that you can just do anyhow and as you wish. The President talked about patriotism and national unity. Patriotism and national unity seemed to really hold the biggest portion of his address. And indeed, we need to be patriotic. Only when we are patriotic would we collectively add value to the development of this nation. In being patriotic, we should at all times do something that adds value to our well-being or to the well-being of this country, including adding value to the economy of this country. While we lament and complain about the limited resources to develop the country or to develop our various constituencies, we also have a duty to ensure that the national basket or the national revenue envelope must be healthy. But look at the situation. There's been times when we get in a shop and somebody will tell you, if you paid me cash here and you didn't do a transfer, the cost will be this low. And we have complied with such. In short, assisting such people who are evading tax. So where is the patriotism in that? We need to ensure that we all pay taxes, and it's from these taxes that we get the required development. The President talked about democracy and constitutionalism. Indeed, democracy has been demonstrated at the highest level of standards in the past by elections. And I think we have demonstrated, and we've been magnanimous enough to laud this both on the floor of the House, in the media, that by-elections are no longer mad with violence as it used to be. There is decency. Now we can say we have the leadership in place. If you engage yourself in violence or engage yourself in malpractices, you are on your own. And the President has repeatedly mentioned this. And I think there has not been any sacred cow in this area. Human dignity, equity, and social justice, equality, and non-discrimination. And I think it's on this value that he talked about delimitation of constituencies. Indeed, equitable distribution of resources is what brings in dignity. We now can afford to put up a classroom in Kateji, in Nyakulenga Ward, because we are getting this enhanced CDF. Now, we want this to be even much better because Zambezi East constituency is too vast. Therefore, even when we receive that 36 million, it will only do as much. But if we delimited Zambezi East constituency into two constituencies, the north and the south, we would get the 36 million on the south part and get the 36 million on the north part. And this will enhance and accelerate development in Zambezi East. That's the reason to why us, the people of Zambezi East, are supporting delimitation and are supporting constitutional amendments which should come without delay. Because we know that this actually directly affects us and will enhance our ability to accelerate development in Zambezi East. As a representative of the people of Zambezi East, I, my chiefs, and the general populace of Zambezi East are waiting for that draft constitution to be brought to the House as quickly as possible so that we can delimitate Zambezi East into two, Zambezi North and Zambezi South. therefore, we are motivated to making sure that the process is accelerated. Honorable Minister of Justice, we are only waiting for a roadmap. And I know the roadmap will be coming very soon so that we delimitate these constituencies and accelerate development. And I'm sure everyone else is looking forward to that. And therefore, the people of Zambezi East would like to end by saying that because of good governance and the trust that the people have in us, they can even entrust us in handling the constitution. Because once we say we are opening this constitution, we will simply limit our focus on the non-contentious issues because we are providing good governance. Mr. Speaker, on that note, I would like to end by saying that sustainable development can only come when you have trusted leadership in place like the one that is offered by President Hakainde Hichilema. I thank you.
Time is up. The Honorable Member for Kaumbwe.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to second the motion that was presented by the President on 28th of February 2025. I'll focus on economic development, which is on page 28. For any country to prevail, to improve the livelihoods of the people, including reducing the cost of living, there must be economic development, and that economic development must be sustainable. Economic sustainability in the wake of so many calamities that are surrounding us, natural calamities such as climate change, is a very big challenge to an economy like Zambia. And the New Dawn government came in. Climate change, the devastation, climate change has brought a lot of misery to our economic development, such as a threat, food security threat, talk about energy, talk about water, and biodiversity, deforestation. What is the government doing about this? They are outlined in the report. Food security. Food security, there's a lot of government programs that assist farmers to reduce the cost of production and even to produce more food, such as programs such as CASIP, such as FISIP, and in the recent past, Cash for Work. Cash for Work is actually there to mitigate the food security problem, and a lot more others, including smart agriculture. But the decision that was made to export maize, looking at short gains other than the future gains, need to be revisited in order to secure...
Order, Honorable Member. As the time is 12:55 hours, I interrupt proceedings and debate stands adjourned. Day for resumption of debate.
Tuesday, Mr. Speaker.
Debate to resume next Tuesday. The House is now adjourned.
Well, thank you so much for being with us on Parliament Television. The House has adjourned till next week on Tuesday, and at the time business was suspended. It was Kaumbwe, Member of Parliament, Dr. Mwanza, who was on the floor of the House debating the President's address, the motion of 4th March 2025, moved by Kanchivia, Member of Parliament, Mr. Sunday Chanda. Let's quickly look at what was considered on the floor of the House before we cross over to the Committee on Local Government Accounts.
Yes, President, when business resumed at 09, Mr. Speaker did make some announcements. Mr. Speaker recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Sunshine Secondary School in Lusaka District, and also pupils and teachers from Ndola Trust School in Ndola District. And so, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
The other announcement that was made on the floor of the House, the First Deputy Speaker did inform the House that the Ministry of Education, in conjunction with the Institute for Parliamentary Studies and Training, will hold a one-day seminar on the new school curriculum in Zambia. This follows numerous questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement which was rendered by the Minister of Education, Honorable Douglas Siagalima, MP, on Tuesday, 20th February 2025. The seminar will be held on Monday, 17th March 2025 in the amphitheater starting at 09:30 hours. Honorable members, all honorable members are encouraged to attend this very important event.
After that, we did have Her Honor the Vice President's question time, a segment of 45 minutes where members of Parliament are given an opportunity to ask Her Honor the Vice President's questions without notice.
There was a statement. An update of the action taken on the pollution caused by the failure of Tarling Dam at Sino Metals Leach Zambia Limited by the Minister of Green Economy and Environment. Matemba, so Friday, we still have a committee sitting, and this is the local government accounts, and currently the Council Secretary, Ms. Lisa Mapasela, submitting on failure to secure the deed, and we have Kaoma as the witness. So we cross over to the committee. Keep watching Parliament Television.